Richard Corbett. He is in the cabinet of the President of the European Council, Herman Van Rompuy. Thank you so much for joining us. In terms of the Italian debt situation, what does this downgrade actually tell us? We knew that this was coming more or less. Is it going to put more panic on the markets? Are debt investors going to be scared? And does it make ultimately your job that much more difficult?
Well, I think it's important not to overreact. In some ways, of course, this can help put pressure on for further reforms that are necessary, and people in general realise they are necessary. But remember, the rating agencies for many years were asleep. They underreacted in the run-up to the beginning of this crisis. Now I think there may be a tendency occasionally for them to overreact. So we need to keep a sense of proportion here. Yes, this is a warning to Italy. Fine. Italy, I think, will realise that this puts additional pressure on them, but we shouldn't overreact and think this signals somehow a downward spiral over the whole euro system.
But is there a concern that actually bond yields will rise in Italy, and therefore if they become unable to fund themselves in the longer term, then this is really going to put pressure on Italy and the eurozone?
I think we're some way from Italy being unable to fund itself in the longer term. It's the size of its economy, the way it's structured. I think Italy has a certain margin of manoeuvre left.
In terms of what we've been seeing in the past couple of days, there's so much investor nervousness out there. Again, what role can the EU play in all of this to calm them down? It seems that it's now really up to the governments to take action. It's up to Germany. It's also up to the individual austerity measures to become either healthy or to be implemented. But if this is not done, is there anything that the European Union can do to fill this vacuum?
I think first things first, we need to implement the significant package of measures that were agreed over the summer. They are significant. They take time to implement because a lot of them need national parliamentary approval, and they need further reform in certain member states. But they are, if you add them all together, quite a significant package, and they should indeed help turn around this situation.
Will Europe remain together? If I speak to you in 2-3 years, are we going to have the same members in the eurozone? And how much of a risk is Italy in all of this?
Yes, Europe will stay together. Whether we like it or not, Europe is a group of very highly interdependent countries, economically, environmentally, and in many other ways. Of course, it has to stay together. And the euro as well. Let's not forget that if you look at the euro overall, it remains a solid currency. It, remember, has, over the longer run, risen on international exchange markets, whereas the dollar and the pound have fallen. It overall has a balance of payments equilibrium. It overall has lower levels of public debt, even including Greece and Italy and others, than the USA or Japan. It has had, since its inception, a stable and low rate of inflation. In fact, it outperformed the old Bundesbank system in terms of inflation. So its fundamentals overall as a currency remain solid.
There's so much day-to-day concern about even whether Greece will get its next tranche of money. We need a resolution this week if we don't want it to get any worse.
Indeed, and the main thing at this particular moment is whether Greece is up to delivering on its side of the package. Remember, the 21st of July package had at least 5 elements to it. There was a further loan to Greece with conditions. Secondly, that Greece has to deliver on further reforms. Third, there was, of course, a very great extension of maturities, up to 30 years for Greece to pay back certain loans, which is a very long time. Fourth, there was a lowering of the rate of interest being charged to Greece. All these things together constitute a package. If you just focus on one of them, of course, it's insufficient in itself. But all together, they amount to a substantial package. But crucial is that Greece delivers on its homework.
Now, we also understand, of course, that Germany has drawn up a plan B to save banks in case of a Greece default. Have other euro area countries done so?
Well, I should imagine everyone has taken their precautions just in case. It's sensible to look at all possible eventualities, even if they are unlikely.
But how do you respond also to, if they don't have plans, should they put them in place now? Some are saying, the time is now, the urgency is now for them to be ready for anything that comes along.
I should imagine that any person acting with due level of precaution, whether they be in a bank or in a government or elsewhere, will have looked at all possible eventualities and planned therefore, even if they remain unlikely.
So how do you respond also to Merkel's call for treaty changes to save the euro? Do you have any plans to do this, and will it actually happen?
It's questionable whether treaty change is necessary. We're looking into that, but the current treaties do allow you, if you wish, to do a significant amount within the current legal framework. It's not necessarily the case that you need to go down the road of treaty amendment, which, as you know, is a long and cumbersome procedure.
What is the biggest risk today to the Eurozone? We had the Italian downgrade, we have Greece, we don't know if they have, their next tranche of money, but at the same time, what if there is no resolution to the Finland collateral dilemma?
Well, the biggest risk is that we get a spiral of fear and self-fulfilling prophecies that feed off each other and create a downward spiral. People across Europe are aware of the danger of that, and I think that's what will put maximum pressure on for a suitable solution to the Finnish collateral issue, and indeed one or two other issues that stand in the way at the moment of the ratification of the July package. All governments are aware that these issues need to be sorted out and need to be sorted out quickly.
But to what extent, for example, have the political problems in other countries, also in Germany, hampered these efforts to save the euro?
Well, of course they've delayed matters and hampered things. When we thought that a package that was agreed in July might be approved by national parliaments and other necessary formalities before the end of September, it's proving that this will take a little longer. Some of those issues do need to be addressed. Genuine concerns are being raised in different national parliaments. But they must be addressed quickly, and people are increasingly aware that they need to be addressed and sorted quickly.
Richard Corbett, thank you so much for joining us today.